Principle 1. Desire, the true root of wealth. Listen carefully to every word. There is no such thing as getting rich by accident. There is no such thing as money appearing out of nowhere. Every result in life, especially money, begins from an internal state, not from circumstances, not from background, not from luck. It begins with desire. But the kind of desire we are talking about is not what people casually say to comfort themselves. I wish I were rich. I hope I make more money someday. Maybe things will get better later. Those words do not produce a single dollar. They only create the illusion that you have thought about success, and for most people, that illusion is enough to calm the pain. Real desire is uncomfortable. It is not gentle. It is not romantic. Real desire is internal pressure. It is the kind of pressure that does not let you sleep peacefully when your life is not aligned with what you know you are capable of. A person without a clear desire will accept whatever life hands them. They call it being realistic. In truth, it is surrender disguised as logic. To understand desire, you must first accept a brutal truth. People do not act based on what they know. People act based on what they want strongly enough. Everyone knows saving money is good for the future. Not everyone saves. Everyone knows learning new skills increases income. Not everyone learns. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is the intensity of desire. Weak desire creates weak action. Weak action creates weak results. Then people blame circumstances. A poor mindset says, I will try my best. A wealthy mindset does not say try. It says, I must get this result. The difference is one word, must. When something becomes a must, the brain stops searching for excuses and starts searching for solutions. Real desire is always specific. It is never vague. It is never abstract. Not a lot of money, but how much money. Not a better life, but better in what exact way. Not freedom, but freedom from what and freedom to do what. Vagueness is where poverty lives. Clarity is where money is attracted. The human brain works like a navigation system. If you do not enter a destination, it will keep you moving in circles and call it fate. Desire is the destination you enter into that system. But there is something most people are afraid to face. Real desire always comes with the fear of paying the price. If you want more money, you must accept less comfort for a period of time. If you want financial freedom, you must accept discipline that most people avoid. If you want a different life, you must accept being seen differently. Those who are afraid to pay the price convince themselves by saying, money isn't that important. Having enough is fine. Being rich is exhausting. It is not that they don't want wealth. They simply fear the cost of wealth more than they fear the pain of staying poor. So they choose familiar pain. Desire does not ask if you are comfortable. It asks only one question. Do you truly want this or not? When desire is strong enough, you do not need motivation from others. You do not need external pressure. You get up on your own when you fall. You learn when no one is teaching you. You keep moving when no one is cheering. From the outside, people will call you greedy, but they are not living your life. Desire is not greed. Desire is the refusal to accept a life below your true potential. A man with desire will not settle for merely surviving. A woman with desire will not hand her future over to chance. Desire transforms a person from reactive to proactive. They do not wait for opportunity. They do not wait for circumstances. They do not wait for someone to save them. They create pressure for themselves, and that pressure pushes them forward. There is an unspoken law of life. You only become serious about something when you are afraid of losing it. Someone who has never truly struggled financially will rarely develop a strong desire for money. Someone who has never had their time controlled will rarely develop a strong desire for freedom. But desire does not require tragedy. It requires awareness. Awareness to see this clearly. If I continue living this way, where will I be in 5 years? In 10 years, will this life be something I am proud of? These questions make many people uncomfortable because they don't like the answers, and instead of changing the answers, they avoid the questions. Desire begins when you stop avoiding the truth about yourself. Here is a truth that is hard to hear. No one owes you a better life. If you do not demand more from yourself, life will not suddenly become generous to you. Desire does not come from reading a few inspirational lines. It comes from deciding that you deserve a higher standard of living. That decision is quiet. No one applauds. No one acknowledges it. But from that moment forward, your choices begin to change. You choose learning over entertainment. You choose accumulation over waste. You choose building over complaining. Not because you are better than others, but because you want more. Desire is the dividing line between two types of people: those who let life decide for them and those who decide for themselves. And remember this clearly: desire does not need anyone else to believe with you. It only requires that you do not betray yourself.
Principle 1. Desire. Part 2. Desire is not born from words. It is born from an internal decision. Many people confuse thinking with deciding. They think about getting rich. They talk about it. They watch videos, read books, listen to others speak about it. But they never decide. Thinking alone has never changed anyone's life. Only decisions do that. A decision is the moment you cut off all escape routes. It is when you say to yourself, if I do not achieve this, I will not accept any excuses. People with weak desire always leave themselves a way out, and that exit becomes the reason they return to their old life. Real desire begins when there is no road back. Not because you were forced, but because you have seen clearly the cost of not changing. Here is a truth very few people are willing to admit. People only change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. As long as your current life is still tolerable, desire remains just strong enough to complain, but never strong enough to act. Strong desire is often born from a moment of awakening. A moment when you look directly at your life and realize, if I continue like this, I will become the version of myself I would despise. That moment is not glamorous. There are no spotlights. There is no background music. There is only silence and the truth. Desire does not need to be announced to the world. It only needs to be committed to yourself. Weak people share their plans to seek validation. Strong people stay silent and let results speak. Desire does not seek agreement. It stands alone. One critical thing people with a poor mindset fail to understand: desire is not hope. Hope waits. Desire demands. Hope says, I hope things get better. Desire says, things must get better. Hope places power in circumstances. Desire places power in yourself. And money always moves toward power. When desire becomes clear, the way you view money begins to change. Money is no longer the final goal. It becomes a measurement of the value you create. When desire is strong enough, you no longer ask, is this easy? You ask, does this move me toward my objective? When the question changes, life changes. Strong desire makes small wins for ego comfort meaningless.
You start thinking farther ahead. You begin to think long-term. You are willing to accept short-term loss in exchange for long-term position. Those without desire sell their future for today's comfort. Those with desire sacrifice today's comfort to buy back their future. This difference has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with how seriously you take your own life. Real desire forces honesty with yourself. You cannot claim you want wealth while your habits lead directly to poverty. You cannot claim you want freedom while you are afraid of responsibility. Desire does not tolerate contradiction. It demands alignment between thought, word, and action. Without strong desire, people live reactively. Circumstances happen, they respond. Others decide, they follow. When desire appears, people begin to live intentionally. They choose their environment deliberately. They choose their relationships deliberately. They choose what they allow into their lives deliberately. And from there, their standards begin to rise. Those without desire let others define their standards. Society says enough is enough. Family says stability equals safety. Friends say blending in makes life easier. Those with desire define their own standards, and they're willing to pay for them. Desire does not make life easier, it makes life clearer. You know where you are going. You know why you endure. You know what matters and what is noise. When the goal is large enough, small opinions become irrelevant. People with desire do not waste energy proving themselves to those who do not understand them. They save that energy to move forward. Few people realize this. Strong desire will make you lonely for a period of time. Not because you are arrogant, but because your frequency has changed. Old conversations lose their appeal. Old habits no longer fit. Relationships built on complaining begin to fall away. This is where many turn back, not because they cannot continue, but because they fear the feeling of isolation. Those without desire choose to blend in. Those with desire choose evolution, and evolution always has a cost. Desire will not allow you to live a double life, one where you speak of growth yet cling to outdated safety. Eventually, you must choose. Not choosing is still a choice, and its price is often very high. True desire makes you fully responsible for your life. No blame, no complaining, no scapegoats. When things are not yet as you want them to be, those with desire ask, "Who must I become to deserve this outcome?" Those without desire ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Two questions, two destinies. Desire does not guarantee you will never fail, but it guarantees you will not quit for trivial reasons. People with desire are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of reaching the end of life with regret. Afraid of looking back and realizing they had the ability, but not the courage to pursue what they truly wanted. That fear keeps them moving forward when motivation is gone and emotions no longer support them. Desire is not an emotion, it is a position in life. Once that position is set, everything else aligns around it. You do not need to appear busy. You do not need to prove effort. You simply move forward every day, slow if necessary, but never stopping. Desire does not need to be loud, it only needs to be deep. And when it is deep enough, it will pull you out of your old life before you feel fully ready. That's when the real journey begins.
Subscribe and follow the channel for daily self-improvement and valuable knowledge. Principle 2. Belief, the foundation that sets your financial ceiling. There is a truth most people never dare to face. It is not the market that limits you. It is not the economy. It is not your family, your background, or your circumstances. What truly limits you is the belief you carry with you every single day. Money does not go to the most talented. Money goes to those who believe they deserve it and who behave as if that belief is already true. Belief is not what you say out loud. Belief is what you reveal through your smallest decisions, especially when no one is watching. A person may say they want financial freedom, but when opportunity shows up, they choose safety.
That is not laziness. That is a belief operating beneath the surface, a belief that does not allow them to win big. Every person lives under an invisible ceiling. You cannot see it, but you feel it the moment you get close to breaking through. When money starts exceeding what you are used to, you feel uncomfortable. When responsibility grows beyond what you have carried before, you feel anxious. When opportunity becomes larger than your past experience, you feel fear. And in that exact moment, your old beliefs pull you back to familiar ground. Not because you lack ability, but because your brain is programmed to keep you where it feels safe. Safe does not mean wealthy. Safe only means familiar. Most people do not fail. They automatically return to the level of life their beliefs allow. If you believe money is hard to earn, you will always struggle to make it. If you believe money comes only through luck, you will spend your life waiting. If you believe wealth equals greed, you will unconsciously push money away. No one explicitly taught you these beliefs, but you absorbed them early. From family, from society, from phrases repeated over and over. Just earn enough to be safe. Too much money only brings trouble. The rich are never truly happy. Those phrases are not harmless. They are commands. Each repetition seeps deeper into the subconscious. And the subconscious does not judge truth or logic. It only executes. If you believe you are bad with money, you will always find a way to lose it. If you believe you are not born to be wealthy, you will always stop just before the breakthrough. Belief does not need logic. It only needs repetition. That is why two people with the same opportunities, the same starting point, end up with completely different outcomes. One steps forward, the other steps back. No one forces them. They do it unconsciously. Belief operates like a silent boss. It does not shout. It does not give direct orders. It whispers, "This is far enough. Playing it safe is better. Do not stand out." And most people obey. Those who control the game are the ones who dare to question their own beliefs. They do not ask, "Can I do this?" They ask, "Why do I believe I cannot?" That is a dangerous question, because if you sit with it long enough, old beliefs begin to crack. You realize that most of your limits do not come from reality, but from the stories you tell yourself. You think wealthy people are more confident than you. Not exactly. They simply operate with a different belief system. They believe money is a tool. They believe learning changes outcomes. They believe mistakes are the cost of success. Poor-minded people believe mistakes are proof they are not good enough. That is the core difference. Belief determines how you see the world. How you see the world determines how you act. Repeated action determines results. You cannot act beyond your beliefs for long. You may force yourself, you may push temporarily, but eventually you return to familiar ground. That is why many people receive money quickly and lose it just as fast. Not because they are stupid, but because their beliefs were never upgraded. Money arrived faster than belief could handle, so money was pushed away. If you want to change income, you must change belief first. Not with empty affirmations, but by rebuilding the image of who you believe you are. You cannot believe you are disciplined if you break promises to yourself every day. You cannot believe you deserve wealth if you feel guilty earning more than others. New beliefs require evidence, and evidence comes from small, consistent actions. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, self-belief increases slightly. Every time you face difficulty instead of avoiding it, your brain records, "This person can handle hard things." That is how belief is built, not through emotion, but through repeated experience. Wealthy individuals are not born with strong beliefs. They build them deliberately. They choose environments that reinforce belief. They choose information aligned with who they want to become. They distance themselves from voices that pull them back to old versions. Not out of arrogance, but because they understand one thing clearly: belief is easily contaminated.
Stay long enough in a limited environment and you start thinking in limits. Hear doubt long enough and you begin doubting yourself. That is why those who control the game protect their beliefs like assets. They do not argue with people at lower levels of awareness. They do not need to be understood. They need results. A strong belief does not require approval from the crowd. It only needs to stand long enough to prove itself. At a higher level, belief is no longer "I can." Belief becomes "This is what I do. This is my standard." No hesitation, no negotiation. You do not negotiate with principles. You live by them. When belief runs deep enough, action becomes automatic. You no longer need motivation to do hard things. You act because this is who you believe you are. And at that point, money becomes a byproduct, not a goal, not a reward, just the natural outcome of the right belief system.
Principle 2. Rebuilding belief when a man becomes his own new limit. Follow, subscribe, and share the channel to gain new knowledge and grow every day. In the early stage, belief operates passively. You believe what is repeated often enough. You act according to what feels familiar. You live inside a safety zone that others unknowingly built for you. But at a higher level, belief is no longer something you have. Belief becomes something you deliberately build and protect. This is the line that separates those who are led from those who control the game. The led ask, "What should I believe?" The controllers ask, "Which belief serves my long-term objective?" The difference is choice. When you realize belief is not absolute truth, but a mental tool, you step into a new level of awareness. At this level, you understand something critical. Not every belief needs to be true. It only needs to be useful. A useful belief is one that drives stronger action, clearer decisions, and higher responsibility. If a belief causes hesitation, excuses, or retreat, then no matter how true it sounds, it is worthless. Strong individuals do not seek beliefs for comfort. They seek beliefs that increase their capacity to endure. That is why the same failure breaks one person and strengthens another. The event is the same. The belief is different. The outcome is different. Belief determines how you interpret reality. A man who believes he is a victim sees every challenge as injustice. A man who believes he is responsible sees the same challenge as a test of competence. Reality does not change. Perspective changes. Life follows. At the level of control, you no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" You ask, "What is this training me to become?" That question does not make life easier, it makes you stronger. And strength always has value in every market. Weak belief breeds dependence, dependence on motivation, dependence on circumstances, dependence on validation. Strong belief breeds self-command. You work without inspiration. You keep standards without witnesses. You move forward without certainty. Strong belief does not remove fear. It simply does not allow fear to decide. At lower levels, fear drives the vehicle. At higher levels, fear rides in the passenger seat. You still feel fear, you just do not turn back. To reach this level, you must accept a hard truth. Belief cannot be replaced by positive thinking. Belief only changes when identity changes. You cannot believe you are decisive if you avoid hard decisions. You cannot believe you are a leader if you wait for direction. You cannot believe you deserve wealth if you constantly undervalue yourself. Belief is the shadow of identity. To change belief, you must change how you see yourself. Identity does not change through words. It changes through repeated behavior. Every time you do what is difficult but right, identity upgrades. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, belief strengthens. Every time you hold high standards in silence, your brain records, "This is who we are now." The process is slow, but it is real. Impatient people try to shortcut belief. They chase intense motivation. They chase powerful affirmations. They chase emotional highs. But emotion does not build foundations. It only creates the illusion of progress. Sustainable belief is built on ordinary days. The day you wake up early without recognition. The day you finish the work without supervision. The day you resist temptation without witnesses. Those days never appear online, but they determine the future. At higher levels, people do not chase massive change. They pursue small consistency, because they understand this: belief does not collapse in a day, and it is not built in a day. Belief is like reputation. It takes years to build, but betray yourself often enough, and it disappears. That is why those who control the game are strict with themselves and generous with others. They don't need to prove anything. They only protect standards. High standards create boundaries. Boundaries create respect. Respect creates leverage, and leverage always creates money. At the final level of belief, you no longer ask, "Can I?" That question is dead. You ask, instead, "What is the cost, and am I willing to pay it?" This is the question of adulthood. No illusions, no complaints, only choice. The weak ask, "Is there an easier path?" The strong ask, "Who will this path force me to become?" When the question changes, life changes direction. Belief is no longer motivation. It becomes internal law. No reminders needed, no pushing required. You act because you refuse to live below your own standards. And when a man refuses to live low, the world is forced to adjust. Money, opportunity, people are drawn towards those with rock-solid belief, not because they are lucky, but because they are stable. Internal stability creates trust. Trust creates value. Value creates money. At this point, you are no longer chasing money. You become an environment that money wants to stay. But remember this: belief is not something you achieve and keep forever. It requires maintenance. The moment you begin to compromise, lower standards, or say just this once, belief cracks. Small cracks repeated often enough collapse entire systems. That is why high-level individuals are allergic to ease, not because they are rigid, but because they understand the cost. Strong belief does not need to be spoken. It shows in how you enter a room, how you say no, how you remain silent. Weak belief needs explanation. Strong belief does not. And finally, understand this: you don't earn money with your hands. You don't earn money with your intellect. You earn money with the man you believe yourself to be. When that man changes, everything else follows. Belief does not create money immediately. It creates the man capable of creating money. And that is the highest return investment you will ever make.
Subscribe and follow the channel for daily self-improvement and valuable knowledge.
Desire is not something you turn on when you feel inspired. It is what you hold on to when inspiration is gone. There comes a stage where words lose their power. No motivation, no excitement, no one pushing you forward. Only you, discipline, and daily choice. This is where most people fall away, not because they're weak, but because they believe desire should always feel good. The truth is simple. Real desire is often cold. It does not comfort you. It does not encourage self-pity. It does not negotiate. It asks one quiet question: did you do what needed to be done today? When desire matures, it no longer shouts inside your head. It becomes a standard of behavior. You do not argue with it. You do not negotiate with it. You obey it. Like a strict boss who does not care how you feel, only whether the job is done. At this stage, desire is no longer an emotion. It is discipline internalized. People without deep desire say, "I'm not in the mood today." People with deep desire say, "This must be done regardless of how I feel." Emotions are unstable. Mature desire is not. Emotions come and go. Mature desire stays. Here's something critical. Desire only grows strong when it is fed by action. If you only think and never act, desire weakens.
If you act, even in small ways, desire takes root. Every correct action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Over time, those votes create identity. Once desire is embedded into identity, you no longer try to become wealthy. You simply live as the person you are building. At this level, failure no longer means collapse. It is feedback. People without desire fear failure because they tie their worth to outcomes. People with desire treat failure as data. They do not ask, "Why am I so bad?" They ask, "What didn't work and what must be adjusted?" Desire gives you calm in the face of volatility, not because you feel nothing, but because you have a clear axis of direction. You stop chasing every opportunity. You choose only those aligned with your long-term path. Some will think you are slow. In reality, you are selective. Mature desire makes it easier to say no than yes. No to what does not serve the goal. No to relationships that pull you backward. No to distractions disguised as entertainment. Every correct no protects your desire, and desire protected long enough creates gravity. The right people appear, the right opportunities reveal themselves. Resources begin to move toward you, not because of luck, but because you have become someone worthy of them. At this stage, money is no longer something you chase. Money becomes the natural result of value, discipline, and position. From the outside, people will say, "He got lucky." They did not see the years of silence, the work done when no one was watching, the discipline held when no one was enforcing it. Desire does not need to be displayed. It grows best in silence. Here is something few understand. Real desire does not exhaust you. It removes what exhausts you. When the goal is clear, you stop wasting energy on misalignment. You compare less, you worry less, you prove less. You know where you are going, and that brings calm. At this stage, you no longer need validation. The only validation that matters is being able to look back each night and know, "I did not betray the goal today." Mature desire creates a different kind of self-respect, quiet, unannounced, unbreakable. You do not need to speak much. The way you live speaks for you. And one day, you realize how far you have moved from where you began, not because of one explosive moment, but because of ruthless consistency over time. Desire does not change you overnight. It changes you day by day until the old version of you no longer exists. At that point, wealth is no longer the goal. It is the consequence. And that's when you understand this clearly. Desire is not meant to be dreamed about. It is meant to be lived with until life is forced to respond. That is the final form of desire.
Principle 3. Auto-suggestion. How you program your destiny. No thought appears in your mind by accident. Every thought is the result of what you have heard, seen, and repeated long enough. People are not controlled by reality. They are controlled by how they talk to themselves. That is where autosuggestion begins. Autosuggestion is not imagination or fantasy. It is the process of feeding an idea into the subconscious repeatedly until the subconscious accepts it as truth. And once the subconscious believes something, it begins directing your behavior without asking for permission. Most people are living under unconscious autosuggestion. They grow up surrounded by limitation. They hear statements like, "Money is hard to earn," "Getting rich is risky," "I am not cut out for business," "People like me only go so far." These are not just words. They're commands installed into the subconscious. The subconscious does not judge right or wrong. It only records what is repeated often enough with enough emotional charge. Once recorded, it begins acting to prove that belief true. This is a reality very few understand. If your subconscious believes you are not worthy of wealth, you will unconsciously sabotage every financial opportunity. Not because you are incapable, but because you are loyal to the old program. Autosuggestion is how you rewrite that program. not through a passing positive thought, but through deliberate repetition. You do not change your life with one powerful idea. You change your life by repeating the right idea thousands of times. The subconscious learns through repetition, just like a child learns language. No one teaches a child with logic. They simply repeat words daily, and one day the child speaks as if it always knew them. Autosuggestion works the same way. When you repeat a statement long enough, the subconscious stops resisting. It does not ask, "Is this true?" It only asks, "How often has this been repeated?" That is why insecure people become more insecure and confident people become more confident, not because they started differently, but because they speak to themselves differently. Autosuggestion is a double-edged weapon. If you do not use it consciously, society will use it on you. Media, family, friends, environment, all of them are programming you daily. The question is not whether you are being programmed. The question is who you allow to be the programmer. The person who controls his life is the person who chooses what messages enter his subconscious. Autosuggestion is not lying to yourself. It is training the subconscious to accept a new direction. At first, the conscious mind will resist. It will say, "This is unrealistic. You are not good enough. You do not have results yet." That resistance is normal. The conscious mind is built on the past. Autosuggestion is aimed at the future. If you only believe what already has proof, you will never create new outcomes. Autosuggestion requires you to speak before you see and believe before evidence appears. Not to deceive yourself, but to open the door for new behavior. When the subconscious begins to accept a new image of who you are, your behavior changes quietly. You begin to speak differently. You begin to take risks more naturally. You begin to reject situations that do not match your value. You do not force yourself. You simply act according to the new identity forming within you. This is critical. People do not act based on goals. They act based on who they believe they are. Autosuggestion does not target action first. It targets identity. When identity changes, behavior follows automatically. A man who believes he is a leader will not think like an employee. A man who believes he deserves wealth will not tolerate small opportunities. These beliefs are not natural. They are planted intentionally. Autosuggestion works best when the emotional noise is low, before sleep, right after waking. At those moments, the subconscious is open and the conscious mind offers little resistance. What you tell yourself during these moments goes straight into the core. Most people use these windows to worry, fear themselves, and doubt themselves. Then they wonder why life keeps repeating the same patterns. Autosuggestion does not need complexity. It needs clarity and consistency. Not hundreds of different phrases, a few correct statements repeated long enough. The subconscious rejects contradiction. If you speak one way during the day and think another way at night, nothing changes. Power comes from consistency. Autosuggestion does not work in a week. It works over months and reshapes your life over years. The impatient quit early because they see no immediate results. They forget that old beliefs took years to build. There is no reason new beliefs should appear in days. In this first third, you must understand 3 truths. You do not live according to reality. You live according to the program in your subconscious. Autosuggestion is how that program is rewritten. Whoever controls autosuggestion controls the direction of his life.
Subscribe and follow the channel for daily self-improvement and valuable knowledge.
Principle 3. Autosuggestion. How the subconscious receives commands and why most people program themselves wrong.
The subconscious mind does not listen to words. It listens to emotion attached to words. You can speak powerful statements, but if doubt, fear, or inner conflict exists underneath, the subconscious ignores everything you say. This is where most people fail.
They believe autosuggestion means reading affirmations out loud. They speak with their mouth while their mind argues back. The subconscious does not hear your mouth, it hears your state. If your internal state is weak, no strong sentence will ever work. Autosuggestion is not about what you say, it is about who you are when you say it. One simple sentence, repeated in a calm, grounded emotional state, is stronger than 100 positive phrases spoken without presence. The subconscious operates like a soldier. It does not analyze, it waits for commands. But it only accepts commands from inner authority. When your inner world is divided, the subconscious does not know who to obey. One part of you says you will become wealthy. Another part says it is impossible. In that conflict, the subconscious chooses the old belief, not because it is correct, but because it is familiar. The subconscious always favors what is familiar over what is true. That is why most people never change their lives, even after learning the right ideas. Autosuggestion works not because of beautiful wording, but because of consistent repetition without emotional resistance. When you repeat an idea in a calm state, without argument, without doubt, the subconscious records it. Not instantly, but permanently, like water shaping stone, quiet, invisible, irreversible. Another critical mistake is using autosuggestion to feel better instead of becoming stronger. Most people use words to soothe their emotions, not to rebuild their identity. Real autosuggestion does not exist to comfort you, it exists to restructure who you believe you are. Identity is who you are when no one is watching. If autosuggestion does not reach identity, it will never create new behavior. You can say you are wealthy, but if your identity avoids responsibility, the subconscious will reject the statement. The subconscious does not trust words, it trusts behavior. That is why autosuggestion must be paired with small, consistent actions. They do not need to be impressive, they need to be real. If you tell yourself you are disciplined, but quit when discomfort appears, the subconscious records the action, not the sentence. Autosuggestion is not forcing belief, it is giving the subconscious enough evidence to accept a new standard. A strong person does not speak loudly about belief, he lives it, and that behavior becomes the most powerful autosuggestion of all. Every repeated action is a command sent to the subconscious. If you constantly delay, you are programming yourself as unreliable. If you consistently keep small promises, you are programming internal credibility. The subconscious is loyal, but it is loyal to habit, not desire. You cannot deceive it, you can train it. One of the most important aspects of autosuggestion is internal language. Not what you say to others, but what you say to yourself after failure, after loss, after rejection. That is where autosuggestion truly operates. If after failure you say you are weak, the subconscious records it. If you say this is training, the subconscious records that too. Same event, different command, different life. Strong people do not rely on positive thinking, they use precise language. They do not say everything will be fine, they say I will handle this. Autosuggestion is not imagination, it is programming reflexes. When pressure appears, what response activates? Avoidance or confrontation, self-pity or responsibility. Those reactions were programmed long before the moment arrived. A person with strong autosuggestion does not need motivation. He has an internal operating system. That system does not create emotional highs, it creates stability. And stability is what money trusts. Money does not follow excitement, money follows control. Incorrect autosuggestion creates illusion. Correct autosuggestion creates the ability to endure uncomfortable truth. If your autosuggestion only talks about success but never addresses the price, the subconscious will reject it. The subconscious respects reality, but it must be guided. You do not say you will succeed easily, you say you are willing to pay the price. That is a command the subconscious honors. Autosuggestion is not about avoiding pain, it is about choosing pain with control. Wealthy people do not experience less pressure, they experience pressure by choice. Autosuggestion is how that choice is made.
Autosuggestion only becomes truly powerful when it is used to set a standard of living, not to create temporary positive emotions. Your standard of living is the level you allow yourself to live at, not what you say out loud, but what you refuse to tolerate being violated. Money always follows standards, never desires. If your standard is low, no matter how much money you make, you will fall back to your old level. Not because of bad luck, but because your subconscious will always pull you back to what feels familiar. High-level autosuggestion is not about saying, "I will be rich." It is about saying, "This is my standard." A person with a high standard feels uncomfortable living below it. A person with a low standard feels fear when rising above it. That has nothing to do with circumstances. It is the result of long-term autosuggestion. Every time you accept a small compromise, you are programming yourself to believe this level is enough. Every time you protect a boundary, you are programming yourself to believe, I do not live below this. Money is extremely sensitive to boundaries. Money does not stay with people who cannot protect their standards. Money does not respect those who constantly lower themselves. True autosuggestion is not repeating that you are worthy. It is living in a way that leaves no doubt in your subconscious. If you want to use autosuggestion for money, you must understand one hard truth. Money does not respond to desire. Money responds to a stable identity. A person may say they want to be rich, but if their behavior lacks discipline, their autosuggestion is conflicted. The subconscious looks at behavior and says, this person cannot handle money, and money stays away, or it comes and leaves just as fast. Autosuggestion for wealth starts with how you handle small things. How do you treat your time? How do you honor promises to yourself? How do you act when no one is watching? The subconscious records everything. If you constantly neglect small responsibilities, your subconscious learns that your standard is low. If you maintain discipline even in silence, your subconscious learns that you are reliable. The strongest autosuggestion is not in your words. It is in what you repeatedly do in private. A major mistake is using autosuggestion to escape uncomfortable reality. People repeat nice phrases so they do not have to face their weaknesses. But real autosuggestion doesn't help you escape. It helps you stand firm while facing the truth. If you cannot confront your own laziness, your autosuggestion is nothing but fantasy. If you cannot admit your lack of discipline, every affirmation about success will be rejected by your subconscious. The subconscious does not respect pretending. It respects responsible honesty. Real autosuggestion sounds like this. I am not enough yet, but I will work until I am. No complaining, no self-pity, only decisions and action. A person who masters autosuggestion does not look for motivation from outside. They don't need applause. They don't need validation. They have a stable inner voice. That voice does not shout. It does not flatter. It does not threaten. It simply says, do the work. Hold the standard. Do not lower yourself. That voice keeps them standing for decades. At the highest level, autosuggestion is the ability to control your inner language when crisis hits. When everything is going well, anyone can speak correctly. But when money is lost, when betrayal happens, when failure is brutal, the inner voice reveals itself. The weak say, I'm unlucky. This is not for me. I already tried. The strong say, this is data. This is the cost. Handle it and move on. Same situation, different autosuggestion, different life trajectory. Those with strong autosuggestion never ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, who do I need to become to handle this? That question alone is autosuggestion. It does not comfort, it raises standards. At its highest level, autosuggestion does not create hope. It creates the ability to carry responsibility. And that ability is exactly what the market pays for. Money does not pay for emotions. Money pays those who can carry pressure without collapsing. Autosuggestion trains that capacity before life forces you to develop it. Someone who moves slowly with the right autosuggestion will go very far because they are not driven by emotions, not addicted to short-term results, not self-destructive when outcomes are delayed. They build inner strength first. Results are just consequences. At the final level, autosuggestion is no longer a technique. It becomes a way of life. The way you think, the way you speak to yourself, the way you act when no one is watching. And when autosuggestion is embedded that deeply, you no longer try to become someone. You already are that person. Money does not come because you chase it. Money comes because you are the kind of person who can keep it.
Subscribe and follow the channel for daily self-improvement and valuable knowledge.